In the endless hum of Coruscant's lower strata, where the light of the upper spires never reached, a single beam of fading blue hololight quivered across a forgotten doorway. Dust and silence cloaked the ancient corridors, the air heavy with echoes of unspoken truths. Here, beneath the ruins of the Jedi Temple, Lyra Wren, the youngest historian in the New Order, sought what was never meant to be found. Her pulse quickened as she traced her fingers across a symbol older than memory, the crest of a Sith Lord erased from every record. The darkness stirred as the archive woke, whispering her name through circuits older than time. "Darth Malvron," she whispered, the words trembling on her breath. "You were supposed to be forgotten." A low vibration answered, not mechanical, but alive. The databank's lights flared red for the first time in centuries, and somewhere deep within the Force, something began to remember. The silence that followed was almost tender, like the breath before a storm. Lyra steadied herself, her heart echoing against the walls. Her holopad crackled to life, and a voice, familiar yet distant, whispered through static. "Lyra, it's Terran. You shouldn't be there." But she barely heard him. In front of her hovered a red holographic sphere, displaying fragments of a rewritten chronicle. The Jedi were painted as tyrants, the Sith as liberators. The words burned her eyes. Someone had rewritten the truth, not just data, but history itself. She reached for the orb, and the room melted away, time blurred. She stood in an open plaza beneath twin suns, watching a false past unfold. Jedi warriors leading armies, enslaving systems, while crowds cheered the rise of a Sith savior. It was a history sculpted by lies so beautiful, it almost felt true. Lyra fell to her knees, overwhelmed. The illusion faded, leaving only the red-lit chamber. Terran's voice grew louder now, more desperate. "Lyra, it's rewriting the network. Get out before it." The voice cut off, replaced by a whisper that was not human. "You see now what truth costs." Malvron's voice echoed from every direction. Lyra rose, trembling but defiant. "I know what you did," she said softly, "and I will undo it." The air pulsed, the walls shuddering as if laughing. The Sith Lord's voice lowered to a whisper that felt like a promise. "Then you must step into the memory itself, little Jedi, and there you will drown in truth." As the archive light consumed her, she vanished into the storm of forgotten time. Lyra's body dissolved into color and sound. She fell through endless light, rivers of memory rushing past her, whispers from centuries weaving through the void. Every star carried a story, every current a lie or a truth too painful to face. Her robes fluttered as gravity vanished, replaced by a pulse of living time. Then, silence. She stood on the surface of a vast mirrored ocean, reflections of wars and faces dancing beneath her feet. When she looked up, the sky was filled with fragments of the past, galaxies fractured into shards of remembrance. Somewhere among them, the echo of Darth Malvron's laughter drifted like thunder. In the reflection beneath her, a new figure appeared. Terran Voss, or what her mind remembered of him. He stood in half-shadow, smiling with disbelief, as if summoned from thought itself. "You really did it, didn't you?" he said. "You stepped inside the stream." Lyra's voice trembled. "Is this real?" He shrugged. "Here. Reality is what has been remembered." The surface beneath them rippled, showing scenes of Malvron's rise, but not as the histories had told. It showed him rescuing villages from the Jedi Purge, shielding innocents from wars. Lies wearing the mask of mercy. Warm. Lyra reached toward one of the visions, a memory of Malvron standing before the Jedi Council. The masters bowed to him, their faces replaced by masks of gold. He turned their own history against them. Lyra whispered. But as her hand touched the memory, it shattered into flame. The ocean around them darkened. Malvern's voice filled the sky. Truth is not what happened, child. It is what the galaxy believes. Lightning of memory streaked across the horizon, and from the storm rose his spectral form, taller than life, his armor glinting with light stolen from stars. Malvron's presence pressed upon them like gravity. The air bent, time faltered. You rewrote the galaxy's faith, Lyra said, voice thin against the roar. You made them worship shadows. Malvron's face softened, almost human. I gave them peace. Lies are merciful when truth only brings pain. For a fleeting second, she saw sadness flicker in his spectral eyes. Was he villain or savior? The force itself seemed uncertain. The ocean below reflected two versions of him, one cloaked in light, one in darkness, as if history itself had split in two. The storm grew, pulling everything into its spiraling core. Terran grabbed her wrist. We have to leave. But Lyra shook her head. Not yet. There's more. The original wreck. I can feel it. She knelt, pressed her palm against the surface, and the ocean parted like torn silk. Beneath it lay a vault of light, a door of pure memory. From within came voices of the old Jedi, begging to be remembered. Truth, Lyra whispered, isn't something we protect. It's something we must earn. She stepped forward, and the door opened. Light folded inward as Lyra crossed the threshold. The world around her became a cathedral of crystal and silence, walls made of translucent memory, each shard humming with centuries of thought. She could feel the truth watching her. Images moved within the walls, the faces of long-dead Jedi, the rise and fall of countless worlds, the wars that shaped the galaxy's wounds. At the heart of it all stood a pulsing sphere, the first archive, the unedited truth of the Force itself. Lyra's breath trembled. To touch it was to risk everything she believed about light and shadow. The sphere flickered. Inside it, visions began to bloom, the real story of Darth Malvron. Once he had been a Jedi named Malvron Solace, revered for compassion, beloved for his gift of empathy. He had seen too much suffering in the galaxy and could no longer bear the Council's detachment. When the Order refused to intervene in the Outer Rim Wars, he turned away, rewriting the archives so the galaxy would remember the Jedi as indifferent and cruel. Lyra's heart ached. The Sith Lord had not been born of hate. He had been born of sorrow. The vision shifted. Malvern's robes darkened, his eyes clouded with despair. He stood before burning villages, surrounded by frightened refugees. When no help came, he made a vow to the Force itself. If truth cannot save them, then I will lie the galaxy into peace. With trembling hands, he rewrote the archives, one memory at a time, until even he could no longer remember what was real. Lyra felt tears rise. Every villain had once been a believer. Lyra turned as a ripple of light swept through the vault. Terran appeared beside her again, but his face flickered. She realized he wasn't truly there. He was only her memory of him, built from her longing for guidance. You can't rewrite what you feel, she whispered. His voice echoed softly, distorted. Maybe not. But you can choose which version of it you keep. She reached for him, and her hand passed through light. The vault dimmed. Malvron's spectral form began to reappear, his presence bleeding through the very memories she had uncovered. Malvron's voice thundered through the vault. Do you see now? Truth only breaks those who seek it. Lyra stood tall beneath the storm of memories, her voice steady. No, truth only breaks the lies that hide it. The crystal walls cracked, light bursting outward. Memory shards rose into the air like stars being born. Malvron's form wavered, torn between regret and rage. Then bear the truth, and let it unmake you. The vault shattered, and Lyra was swept into a blinding surge of raw memory. Every emotion the galaxy had ever known flooding through her. When Lyra opened her eyes, she was standing on Coruscant again. But it was not the world she remembered. The skies glowed crimson, towers bent at impossible angles, and statues of Darth Malvern watched over the city like silent gods. Airspeeders drifted past banners proclaiming the glory of the Sith Order. The galaxy had changed. The lie had won. Her memories battled the new reality. Every breath felt like betrayal. The Force whispered in her mind, "You are inside his version now." Lyra clutched her chest, grounding herself in the only truth she had left, her will to remember what was real. Crowds filled the streets, citizens chanting Malvern's name as savior. Children wore Sith pendants. Lovers exchanged red crystals instead of flowers. Every mind was rewritten. Lyra wandered through the noise, dizzy from the weight of it all. Her communicator flickered. Terran's voice, distant and fragile, came through the static. "Lyra, do you remember me?" She paused. The voice hurt to hear because even she wasn't sure. Memories shifted like mist. "Ice," she whispered. But the word trembled with doubt. Suddenly the crowd froze. Every person turned their gaze toward Lyra, eyes glowing faint red. Memory anomaly detected. A chorus of mechanical voices intoned. Panic seized her. She ran through the streets as the city itself began to fold in on itself. Buildings collapsing and rebuilding like data streams in flux. The world was not solid. It was a file being rewritten in real time. Malvron's laughter echoed through the sky. "You can't fix truth, Lyra. You can only choose the version you live in." Lyra stumbled into the ruins of the old Jedi temple. Its columns were now draped in Sith banners. Its meditation halls turned into shrines of fear. But beneath the rubble, a familiar glimmer called to her, the faint blue glow of a hidden holocron. She knelt and brushed away dust. The image of an old Jedi archivist appeared, flickering. "If you are seeing this," the voice said softly, "then truth still breathes somewhere." Tears welled in her eyes. "Then there's still time," she whispered. The holocron pulsed, and an ancient map appeared, a guide leading to the origin node, the very point where memory first touches the Force. It was there that Malvron's rewritten timeline began. Lyra steadied herself, resolve burning anew. "If I can reach it," she murmured, "I can write it back." The city above groaned like a living creature as she rose, cloak whipping in the artificial wind. Far above, Malvron's shadow stared down through the red clouds. His voice was quiet now, almost tender. "Every truth you restore erases someone's peace. Will you still do it?" Lyra whispered into the storm. "Yes." The stars stretched into ribbons of gold as Lyra descended through hyperspace, guided by the holocron's pulse. At the edge of the galaxy, where light thinned and gravity sang, she saw it. The origin node, a vast sphere of living energy, swirling with the memories of every soul who had ever existed. It hung above a silent, ruined moon, its surface rippling like breath. As she approached, the Force trembled inside her chest. Here, she realized, the past wasn't gone. It was waiting to be rewritten once more. Lyra stepped onto the moon's surface, boots sinking into fine white dust. Gravity whispered softly, almost hesitant. The node hovered above her, its reflection mirrored in the silver ground. She extended her hand, and the holocron unfolded into streams of living text, wrapping around her like ribbons of light. Each symbol was a memory: births, wars, heartbreaks, laughter. The voices of countless lives. She could feel the galaxy itself breathing through her, but among the harmony came a darker rhythm, the echo of Malvron's will, still woven deep within. A ripple tore through the air. From the radiant currents, Darth Malvron emerged, no longer spectral but whole, as if the memory itself had given him flesh. "You cannot unwrite me," he said, voice filled with weariness rather than threat. "I am what the galaxy needed to believe." Lyra's voice shook. "You were never truth. You were never truth. You were pain pretending to be peace." Malvron smiled sad. "And what are you then?" "A lie the Force tells itself about hope." The node pulsed between them, listening, judging. The ground shuddered. Malvron raised his hand and the air filled with ghosts, every version of the galaxy he had written. Planets rose and fell, empires burned and rebuilt, each reality blinking into existence like sparks. "Look," he said softly. "Every lie I told gave someone a reason to live." Lyra stared, tears streaking her face. "And every truth you erased cost someone their soul." The visions collided, clashing in waves of light, until the node itself began to fracture. The Force screamed. Lyra closed her eyes. The node's light flowed into her, burning and soothing all at once. She understood now. To restore the truth, she would have to give up her own memory, the last lie still binding reality together. "If someone must remember the truth," she whispered, "let it be the Force itself." Malvern stepped closer, his expression unreadable. For a heartbeat, he bowed his head, a gesture of surrender or respect. Then Lyra reached toward the node. The universe blazed white. Every false story, every corrupted timeline dissolved into light. Lyra's body faded with them, her final breath carrying peace into the void. The light receded, leaving quiet. A dawn unlike any before spilled across the galaxy. Soft, silver, unburdened. On Coruscant, the crimson skies faded to blue. The statues of Darth Malvron crumbled to dust, and people woke with tears they didn't understand. They remembered peace, but not why. Love, but not from whom. Somewhere, in the stillness of the archives, a single crystal glowed faintly. Lyra's final memory preserved within the Force. Terran heard the echo first as a whisper inside his data implant, a woman's voice reciting coordinates wrapped in static. He didn't know her name, yet the sound filled him with grief so deep it felt ancient. Following the signal, he entered the underarchives, where light streamed like rivers through broken steel. The holocron waited, humming with quiet purpose. When he touched it, the world shimmered with the scent of rain and copper hair. Her voice spoke softly through the holocron. "Truth is not kept. It is lived." Images poured into his mind. Lyra's journey, her defiance, her surrender. The Force carried her memory like wind carries a song, incomplete yet eternal. Terran wept openly, his tears merging with the glowing dust. In that moment, he remembered everything, and the galaxy remembered through him. As memory returned, so did balance. The Force rippled across star systems, planets blooming, oceans calming, wars forgotten. The Jedi archives reconstructed themselves, page by luminous page. Amid the restored halls, the echo of Lyra Ven lingered like a heartbeat. Somewhere beyond sight, the silhouette of Darth Malvern drifted through the current of time, diminished but not erased, watching in quiet understanding. Night settled again. Terran placed the holocron upon the rebuilt altar. "May truth never need rewriting," he whispered. As he turned to leave, a gentle breeze swept through the chamber, carrying the faintest sound. Lyra's laughter, distant but real. The stars beyond the window shimmered as if remembering her too. And for the first time in millennia, the Force was still. There are no stars in the beginning, only the memory of them. The galaxy hums with breath once more, and in the gentle silence between suns, the Force whispers. It remembers Lyra Ven, whose courage rewove the truth into light. It remembers Darth Malvron, who sought to spare the galaxy from pain and found himself swallowed by it. And it remembers every soul that once believed lies were mercy. In the current of existence, nothing is ever lost, only transformed. Beneath the renewed Jedi temple, Terran Vos walks among the archives. He speaks softly to unseen students, teaching them not the history of wars, but the language of truth. History is not what we keep, he says. It's what we honor. Sometimes, when the lights dim, he feels a presence, a warm current of thought wrapping gently around him. He closes his eyes, smiles, and whispers her name. In the memory stream, the echoes flow endlessly. The place that once twisted truth now shines with clarity. Lyra's essence drifts there, not bound, but free. She wanders among starlit ripples, watching new stories form, each one honest and imperfect. She knows now that the Force does not choose sides. It only remembers the courage of those who dare to see both light and shadow as one. And beyond the veil of galaxies, a figure stirs, Darth Malvern, or what remains of him. No longer Lord, no longer shadow, only memory. He stands before the current of time and watches Lyra's light dance. You were right, his voice murmurs. Truth endures. He dissolves into the stream, his darkness folding gently into the Force. Even a lie once faced finds peace. The galaxy sleeps, dreaming of what was and what might be. Stars whisper names into the dark. Lyra, Terran, Malvran, all carried by the same current. The Force hums through every atom, a single heartbeat echoing through eternity. There are no forgotten stories, it says. Only those waiting to be remembered, and in that endless quiet, the shadow becomes light again.